We good? We golden? So if you don't know me, I've been introduced 3 or 4 different times now, but I'm Garrett. And I'm going to start off in James, jump over to Job, and then finish in Romans. I feel like they all kind of connect. I move this. It kind of feels like I'm in a press conference. But I feel like this message today has been put on me because we all go through these things and we all experience trials and tribulations. So we're going to be in James 1, 2 through 4. It says, "My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into various trials, knowing this, that the testing of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, and ye may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing." I'm not patient, and I think a lot of us aren't either, but it's one of those things that time and time again in the Bible it talks about we have to do. And whether it be losing a loved one, your car breaking down on the way to work, getting stuck in traffic, we like to look at God and get mad at the situations He put us in and question a lot of the stuff He does. And there's one person in the Bible that through literally losing everything didn't question God, and that's Job. And in Job chapter 1:6 it says, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, From where comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord, and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? There is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one who feareth God and shunneth evil." Now to me, if God said I was perfect, I would really, that'd be something. And whether you know it or not, I'm sorry.
Somebody say amen.
Amen. Amen.
Don't make me come up there. What God gave us, it's okay.
Garrett, don't feel bad. Your grandpa does that all the time.
Amen.
Whether we know it or not, God says the exact same thing to Satan when he asked about us. We all might not be as strong as Job in our faith, but God puts us in situations to strengthen our faith. So Satan asked God, he asked God, you take away all his stuff and he'll spite you. He'll go against your word. So God said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth and from the presence of the Lord. There was a day that Job's sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing and the asses feeding behind them. And then Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. They have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I'm the only one that escaped. And this goes on, talking about people coming, and they're the only ones that escaped. He lost a lot of his animals through all of this. Satan really thought he did something. But he did. And Job arose and tore his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. Through all of that, Now, how easy is it for us to get mad over something so little and question God when He took everything away from Job? And the first thing he did was worship Him. Just think about how different our world would be if when something happened, we worshiped instead of going against Him.
Amen. Come on, son.
And Satan thought he was, going to pull a fast one on God and ask Him again. And the Lord said unto Satan, the same thing hast thou considered my servant Job. There is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and shunneth evil. And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although movest me against him, to destroy him without cause. And this is the second time Satan asked for control over him. And he said, but put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is thine in hand, but save his life. And both times that Satan asked God for the control over Job, he set the limit. God is still in control.
Amen.
Satan wants you to think that he has everything over you. And at times it may feel like he does. But at the end of everything, and whatever you're tempted with or you go through, God is the one that sets the limits. So Satan went forth in the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils, and from the sole of his foot unto his crown. He put Job through a lot, in that I can't imagine having all this done to me and still wanting to worship God. So if you go to, and throughout Job, he talks about, people think he's dumb for, not spotting the Lord and just dying. And he asked God to take his life, and then he regretted the day he was born. But in Job 13:15, Job says, though he slay me, yet I will trust in him, and I will defend mine own ways before him. Amen. And when I read that, it just blows me away, because, like I said, the little stuff we get affected by, and the little stuff that we let Satan just continually eat at us. This man has lost everything. Literally lost everything. And his health, his family, and yet he still praises God. And I think that's something we can all really relate to and grasp and want to be more like. I'm jumping to Romans. You don't have to jump there. I'm going to tell a little story before we get there. But we're all tested. There's different circumstances. There's different temptations. There's a man named Michael Dwayne Vick, also known as Mike Vick. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a professional football player. He was drafted number 1 overall in the 1999 draft out of Virginia Tech, and he was one of the most highest paid quarterbacks in the league out of his first 6 years. He holds the rushing record for quarterbacks now. Prior to signing a $130 million contract and a $2 million endorsement with Nike, he was arrested for fighting and killing dogs. Now, your first instinct, like many, was to hate him and to hope he rots in jail forever. I think Michael Vick would tell you, if he was here, that going to jail was the best thing that ever happened to him. Because throughout the years of watching interviews over him, hearing him speak, he talked about finding God. And it's funny because when everything's going good, we're not praying. We're not praying. Everything's good. There's no reason to. But Michael wasn't praying. He wasn't believing. And he lost everything. I wouldn't go as far as saying he lost everything like Job, but he lost all of his possessions. He was rich, but he wasn't rich in here. He didn't have it right. Job had it right, and that's why when he failed, he praised God. But through the hard times, that's when we lean on him. But when we go during our good times and we grow in God, that's when the dark times don't seem so dark. In Romans it says, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." Which I think relates to Job, and I think it goes back to James. Because the testing of our faith will always propel us to be a better person and be a better Christian. And we never know who will affect along the road. I'm sorry. No matter what he brings you through, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a purpose for what you're going through. And God will never put you through something you can't handle. He allowed Satan to roam the earth, and he still does. He is alive and well. But we have a God that is stronger. And like in Job, he will set the limits of what Satan can do to us. You always have to remember that God is controlled and that Satan is not. Throughout the adversities of life, go to the Lord. Through your temptations and wrongdoings, don't feel like you're not good enough, because that's just Satan. He wants to get at you. He tried to get at Job, but he said, "No, I have a God that is stronger than you." Job, my dad bothered me enough to read it, and I thank him now for it. But for probably a month ago, he came upstairs and asked me every once in a while, "Did you read Job yet? Did you read it yet?" Yeah, I read a little bit of it. And then went through some stuff. Really figured out that I was further from God than what I really thought I was. And that's scary. It is. And through prayer and through time, I've realized that this is what I wanted to talk about. And this is what I wanted people to hear, because everyone always needs to hear encouragement. Whether it be from God or whether it be from a friend, a family, all encouragement comes from God. And through Satan trying to get at us, we have encouragement all the time. We might not see it. We might not want to see it because we want to do it on our own. But we can't do it on our own.